Good afternoon. This is a special news report. A bacteria is on the loose. We shall call it Clostridium tetani. Clostridium tetani is described to be a gram-positive bacillus, but is known to have many faces. When in its endospore form, it is shaped like a drumstick. Clostridium tetani is said to be found in warm, damp areas like soil, dust, and sediments, but is also found in the intestines and feces of some animals. Let's go to Felice, who has more information on this breaking story.
Thank you, Tiffany. We're currently in the scene where the victim was allegedly attacked by Clostridium tetani. 2 weeks ago, the victim was gardening in his backyard where he accidentally cut himself with pruning shears. The victim thought it was just a normal wound, but the pruners and the soil were tainted with Clostridium tetani. We were told that this bacterium is transmitted indirectly through a fomite. Fortunately, it's not contagious and cannot be transmitted from person to person. We were able to speak to the victim's roommate, who has more information about the victim.
My roommate Carlos comes in with his cut. I'm like, dang man, you need to go to the hospital. And a couple days later, he's like, he's fevering, having trouble swallowing. I don't know what's going on. He says he got it though. So I'm like, all right, cool, man. He's over there doing his homework, sweating. I don't even know what's going on. So anyways, man, like 3 days later, I see this guy, he comes in, he's like, man, I don't know, I can't swallow. He starts like seizuring and stuff, man, he's done. I'm like, man, I need to call 911. I grab my phone real quick, call 911, take him to the hospital. I don't know, man, hope he's okay.
The victim was taken to the hospital and was seen by the doctors immediately. Unfortunately, the victim did not think that the wound was serious at the time and did not seek medical attention. He also had never had the vaccine against tetanus.
So what is the current status of the victim?
Well, right now the doctors have yet to disclose any information to us or the family, but from the looks of it, it does not look good. That's all we have here at the scene of the crime. Back to you, Tiffany.
That is so sad. Thank you, Felice. We were able to speak with a microbiologist from Citrus College who will go more in depth with what tetanus is and how it works.
Hello. Today I'm going to be talking about the bacteria Clostridium tetani and the disease it causes, tetanus. So Clostridium tetani looks just like this in its vegetative state. It has paratragus flagella, as you can see all around it, and this is an obligate anaerobe, meaning it cannot survive when oxygen is present. So when it is present, it's going to change from this vegetative state into its endospore form, which are these tennis racket or drumstick looking things. Now, since it is an obligate anaerobe, it relies strictly on fermentation. The endospores can be found everywhere, however, mostly through soil which is contaminated by fecal wastes. So to answer the question, how do you get tetanus? You don't have to worry too much because tetanus is not contagious. You can't get it from person to person, but instead it is transmitted indirectly through fomites, so you get them from actual objects. Now, its portal of entry is parenteral, meaning the skin needs to be broken in order for these endospores to enter our body, making it an opportunistic pathogen. So now we're going to talk more about the disease itself. As far as the diagnoses, there are no lab tests that can confirm tetanus, but instead doctors will diagnose it according to patient's signs and symptoms. This is an acute disease with an incubation period ranging from 3 to 21 days for adults or 4 to 14 days for children. Now, this is a disease that occurs worldwide. The mortality rates in developing areas is up to 50%, and in the United States, it's up to 25%. So how does tetanus work? Since the endospores are entering our body through an open wound, once it is in our body, it's going to change into its vegetative cell. Now, once it does that, it's going to release a toxin called tetanospasmin, and this is going to target the spinal cord, which is bad, because this is going to interfere with the neurotransmitters, and that's going to block the signals to the brain. Now, when it does that, we're going to have involuntary muscle spasms, contractions, seizures, and we can even die. There are preventative measures you can take against tetanus. First of all, if you do have an open wound, make sure you clean it properly, and if you're experiencing any headaches, fever, trouble swallowing, anything like that, make sure you seek medical attention right away. There are vaccines against tetanus, the TD and the Tdap vaccines, which you get a booster for every 10 years after your initial dose. Only about 50% of the U.S. population is vaccinated against tetanus. So that's why it's very important to make sure you're vaccinated against tetanus as well.
Thank you, doctor. That was very informative. I'm sure we can all use this information to be more cautious and avoid these dangerous assailants. Well, that's all the time we have for now. So stay tuned for the new episode of The Voice. I'm gonorrhea.